paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin Hostler, joined as sometimes by Jason E. Alt.
Sometimes?
Sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes.
How many episodes have I missed out of the last 530? Have I missed the first 10? And then maybe twice?
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
sometimes.
Sounds like more than me. That third voice you hear, by the way, though, DJ is out this week. He's coughing up a broken knee or something. This, however, is the week we have brought Jake FitzSimons on, straight from the heartland of Australia.
It's
Where in
FitzSimons,
Australia
Corbin.
might you live?
Well,
Everybody
yeah, I mean,
calls
like
him
that.
FitzSimons, right?
The
I
heartland
thought
insofar
about
as that it's the coast in Sydney. And in Sydney only recently, after spending some time traveling in your very, very interesting country.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Jake tonight about his experiences. He was here for Magic 30 and then did some more Americanizing while he was over here. And Jake is what you would call a super fan of America. So this is great.
That's strong.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to hear. So we've got that planned. We've got your segments planned. I'm back in the driver's seat here, and that means you will have Breaking Bulk's pick of the week. DJ was even kind enough to come prepared and send his picks in, even though he couldn't cast. But first, we need a stock market update. Jason, how do you feel about buying Hasbro stock?
Well, considering I'm completely financially boned irrevocably if Magic goes away. It is the house of Magic cards I've built my entire career upon. So if Magic goes away, I'm just well and truly completely boned. So I'm doubling down. I'm going to buy the dip on Hasbro stock.
Buy the dip on FTX and Hasbro, he says.
Hodl?
No,
what
I'm
do
the only-
Hodl
what do
your
the crypto
Hasbro.
finance bros say? Hodl
I'm
to the
the
moon. all
only
that-
person in the Magic community whose intelligence you used to respect that wasn't in on FTX.
Hodl your Hasbro, Jason says. For those who don't know what we're talking about, I'm gonna read something to you here. This is a news article. Hasbro is trying to squeeze extra money out of Magic the Gathering fans in the short term, Bank of America says. That could hurt the long-term business. Analyst Jason
Corbin's going to
Haas
say Bank of America every single time.
has downgraded the toy stock.
Because the article he's reading says BofA. And
It does-
he knows
it does
if he
say
says
BofA.
BofA, that the cast is over. He won't be able to maintain his composure. So he's going to say Bank of America every time, but I need you to know he's
Say
reading
it.
BofA.
BofA.
Anyway, Corbin, please continue.
Thank you. Their analyst has downgraded the toy stock because they say that the Magic Cards brand, what they've been doing to it, amounts to Hasbro killing its golden goose.
Ooh.
The new target implies downside of 33% from Friday's close. The primary concern is that Hasbro has been overproducing Magic cards, which has propped up Hasbro's recent results, but is destroying the long-term value of the brand, he said in a note to clients. Magic the Gathering is a trading card business that accounts for about 15% of Hasbro's revenue and 35% of their profit after sales doubled during the pandemic due to financial stimulus. The toy company has tried to capitalize on that demand by upping the number of new releases and set production volumes, but has said several players are growing increasingly turned off to new releases and unwelcome changes from the company. He said the company is increasing releases for short-term financial gain with little care over how the brand will suffer in the long term.
Ooh.
Seven of the last 8 releases have declined in value by BofA's count. National retailers have cut the brand or are increasingly focused on moving old inventory according to a BofA check of stores.
I'd love to do a BofA check. Excuse me, does your store know where your BofA is?
Got him.
Have you seen your BofA?
So this sent Hasbro stock tumbling, and it sent Magic World to saying, we were right. And honestly, it kind of makes sense.
We were.
It kind of makes
Yeah, it feels
sense,
pretty.
yeah.
I
It feels
didn't
pretty
think
gratifying.
about a golden goose. I thought about a silver egg. Do you remember the flavor text on bottle gnomes from Tempest?
No.
I do not.
Karn said he was reminded of the fable of the silver egg, where the owner cracked it open to see what was inside, and it was just a regular egg yolk.
So listen to this. This is another piece of this downgrade. It says reprints can hurt secondary market sales because the packs include cards from the reserved list. They're talking about 30th anniversary, which is a group of cards Hasbro promised previously to never reprint. Some have argued it's not a true reprint since they cannot be used in tournaments, while others say it doesn't matter because their existence will drive down scarcity and by extension value. Here's the quote. This set has devalued many high-value cards, and collectors are concerned that Wizards will reprint more. The aggregate price of the reserved list peaked in mid-2021 at more than $250,000, but is now down to $150,000. The changing secondary market could push card collectors to Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, I
that
need a
last
more
part.
financially stable game. Let's do Flesh and Blood.
So there's a couple interesting things here. I mean, obviously there's a lot to dig into, and I think we're going to plan a deep dive into kind of what it means next week. But yeah, one of the quotes is, Hasbro continues to reprint its most successful sets, driving prices down further. So
What do you think that means? Because when I read that this morning, and I can't think of something that has been. Well, maybe I'm greedy. Have they
I
really
can
gone
think
over
of
the
an
top with
answer.
reprints
Oh, yeah.
outside of Magic 30? Outside of Magic 30?
I mean,
they're not technically
because
reprints.
of the EDH decks. They're doing way more EDH
yeah,
decks. Than
right.
They
that.
print just a ton. I mean, if you just go look at and you throw in the secret layers, and they're doing the numbered set runs on a whole bunch of things now. Look, I don't know, but what I know is it's interesting that on the one hand, people are, oh, we told you, Wizards, you can't do this. Here's why. Here's our proof. And then the proof says that reprints and driving prices down is bad for the game. And I don't know. It doesn't take a lot of squinting to see how you can turn that, how you can look at that as, wow, it turns out that having expensive chase cards actually was good for the game in the long term because it stabilized its market and its expectations. And now they've upended all of that.
Well, we're going through sets so fast. It's like the prices are so weird because there's nothing other than we opened this stuff and now we're on to the next now. So like,
There's no time to
like,
take anything in.
We spent like a week talking about New Capenna and then it was on to the next. Like, I don't know what any card in that set's worth.
Yeah.
I reckon a lot of people want it that the outcome of this will be, okay, they slow down with set production, but I think the realistic outcome will be they slow down with the more generous reprints then. Like, I think everyone feeling gratified and like they were correct with this, which I count myself among, we're going to be sort of sorry for it because we're not going to get what we want out of this.
Well, we never were though. Like, as soon as it
I don't think we ever were either. And I also can't see any future in which I can see them not accelerating as rapidly, but I can't see Magic actually slowing down production on new sets. Like that just seems.
Well, and the thing is that those things we
unlikely.
just talked about, what's the sourcing for that, right? Like, no offense to BofA here, but none of that was sales numbers. None of that was revenue. This is what
they
people
just
don't
listen
like.
to, like, they listen to whiny on Twitter like us, and that's why we don't listen to whiny people on Twitter. Yeah, like you.
And all I'm saying is that it just I don't even disagree with their conclusion that it's bad for the long-term health of the game, but it did feel I don't know. Usually you read reports like that and you see stock prices move based on things like
someone
math.
trying to buy Hasbro.
Yeah, like usually those things are based on math, and you see numbers, and the only even possible stat they gave was sets declining in value, and I don't even know what per se that means because they don't elaborate as to what they're talking about. Do they have sales numbers? No. Are
I
they
think
just
they were
looking at
looking
the
at, like,
average
the
value of each card? I don't care about that.
Or maybe like what a set of alpha was worth then and what a set of alpha is worth now.
I mean, they
Which is
gave
not,
you
which
the
is not a,
reserve
which
list
is not a
number,
super.
yeah.
I don't think that's a super. Well, maybe I could be wrong. I don't think that's a super relevant metric for the vast.
Yeah, I
majority
They
agree,
don't
and
know. They're
playing the game.
BofA. They don't listen to Brainstorm Brewery.
We need to get a second opinion. We got to call in Ligma.
Oh, jeez. I think they went out of business in 2008.
Not even a pity laugh, Jason. I barely saw your cheeks move into a smile.
I was being
There
generous.
it is. There it is.
I'm laughing at being shamed. I'm not laughing at
I'll take it.
giving
I'll
you
take
more
it.
on Ligma. You just made the same joke.
I have to point this
Yeah,
out.
but
though,
there are so many variants: Ligma, Bofa, Sugma, Manglema,
before we will move on and before you
Did
all
you say
derail this
magma?
further.
Manglema, Manglema.
No.
Oh,
It's okay. Corbin's trying to move on. Let's go with his thoughts.
But-
All I'm saying is that I saw some people say, well, you can't ignore Bank of America. When they downgrade you, that's bad. And it's like, okay, well, to be fair, literally every stock is getting downgraded, right? Because we're in a recession. Okay, so like, let's just be fair about that. This analyst, their previous target for this was $74, which is very, very, very far above Hasbro's current price. So when they revise it down further, they were really wrong before. And that before was like 3 months ago. So just saying, okay, let's keep all of these things in mind. But also I hear people, Hasbro's now they're going to listen to this and they're going to make changes. I just have to remind everyone that the current CEO of Hasbro has his job because he started all of this at Wizards of the Coast. He doubled their revenue and now he's in charge of Hasbro. Is he going to go back and clean house of the people who are doing what he told them to do? I don't think so. I don't know.
No way he'd clean house, but do you think that they would slightly change?
Oh, I would love it.
direction
they don't
as
know
a result?
how. They don't
Listen,
know how.
Wizards is pretty receptive, in my opinion, to feedback eventually, especially when it comes from the market. Eventually.
But they'll do what the CEO of Hasbro tells them to do.
Yeah, well, listen, what'll happen is they'll
And
wait till they
CEOs
see.
don't learn how to save companies. They learn how to go in and be like, I could fix it. Give me $15 million. Then the company's out of business.
So
Like,
what they'll do is they'll go until they see a pullback on it, and then they'll adjust. They're not going to preemptively stop. They'll run it till the end, and then they'll stop.
If this report made them stop, then we got a year to a year and a half full of too many products in the pipe. So
Well, it just
maybe
depends
they'll
on how
space
you
them
look
out
at it,
more.
because there's so much granularity to this that obviously is not going to be picked up, and we'll go into it more next week, but that isn't going to be picked up in these two paragraphs that everyone's reading. I mean, are secret layers the problem? Are the additional reprint sets the problem? Is standard sets the problem? Are the command, like, what is actually damaging the long-term value here? You know, is it 30th anniversary? Is it $100 double master boosty collector packs? Like, what actually is causing the problems if Bank of America's analysis is that these specific things are causing problems? That's what I'm saying. There's so much context missing from any of this, and even that is coming from a place where none of us have access to Wizards' internal numbers.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of speculation. I do think there's something to be said of, this is something people have said in the past. If you want to speculate on a Magic card, you should speculate on Hasbro stock instead. Every time I wanted to buy a Magic card, I bought a share of Hasbro instead. That's the thing I've seen people say. Because if Magic does well and the cards go up, Hasbro will go up, right?
That's
Yeah,
an
that
index.
makes sense,
Hasbro
yeah.
stock is an index of all Magic card prices.
I think it's probably not great for us that Transformers is no longer putting out Michael Bay movies. Magic
The
accounts for
Transformers
15%.
sounds weird.
Magic accounts now for 15% of all Hasbro's revenue.
Well,
They only have a couple of brands.
IDW mysteriously stopped publishing G.I. Joe and Transformer comic books. So I think that might have been a licensing thing. I think Hasbro might be doing a push trying to get some of that retro out.
Well, they
Or
need to
maybe
do something.
they just stopped IDW from making G.I. Joe and Transformer comic books, and then they're not going to.
They need to do something because listen. One of the reasons that Magic has had so much pressure to increase more money is because it was one of the only profitable growth. I don't want to say only. It was one of the most profitable and/or growth available markets within Hasbro. Look, Hasbro doesn't own that many brands, and
they
sell a lot of.
It's 1940s, man.
They sell a lot of Monopoly.
Yeah.
Still, they sell a lot of Monopoly.
The fear is that we're going to become Monopoly.
Monopoly's not taking them into 2050.
No, Nerf, man. It's Nerf or nothing.
So
But my fear is my fear is
from-
that they're trying to turn Magic into Monopoly, where it's an endless cash cow with well, I mean, it's of course an endless cash cow, but just endless skins. Like the reason Monopoly keeps going hard is that you can just skin it on anything and goes, that you're interested in this.
What's
thing.
funny about that is that actually is the most in line with Richard Garfield's original A Deckmaster game.
Where each one would be a different thing. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yes.
But yeah, the reality is it doesn't end. This ends in. We've said it jokingly before. This ends in Disney buying Hasbro when Hasbro milks its only cash cow and then is out of cash cows and has a bunch of brands worth money and no way to effectively monetize them for growth. You end up doing what so many other companies do. You sell it to Disney and then they make Magic the Gathering Land next to Toy Story Land at Disney World, which where I just came from.
It's not going to
We
work.
all love it, and they sell your childhood back to you at $400 a day.
Nah, that.
Disney wouldn't even care. They'll be like, "Oh, we destroyed a competitor to our card game."
I mean,
When
When
look,
is Lorcana coming out?
we haven't heard.
No?
We haven't
Maybe
heard.
never.
Probably sometime. They at Disney Con or whatever. They put out some promos.
Yeah, I
and
saw the
that was a
cards.
thing. And apparently those are the promo versions. There will also be regular versions. I have no idea when it'll come out, but it's just I don't know. All of this pressure from Hasbro, however you want to look at it, it is not good for us as a community when Hasbro is not doing well. As funny as it might be to meme on, and as much as people want to root against, sort of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro succeeding.
Stock. Like we don't feel good that we were pawns, man.
Their
They
stock
used
is down
us to try to
50%,
like balance the books for an entire corporation that still thinks people want to buy Angry Birds merch in 2022. Like their dumb decisions being like, we got Nerf guns, we'll be good forever. Like that fossil of a toy company, the Rock'em
lost Toys
Sock'em
R-
Robot Corporation,
and they
like,
lost Toys
all
R
of a
Us.
sudden it's like, oh, we got one little area that's doing good. Well, we got
Squeeze
it
it for
as a result of
everything it's
acquiring another
worth.
company. Well, suck all the marrow out of it, and then we can keep this Rock'em Sock'em Robot factory afloat another couple years. It's bull. We don't feel good that we were pawns, that we were made to feel miserable with the relentless pace of set releases for a scheme that didn't even work because one BofA detective was on the case and he looked at a few angry tweets and figured out what was so obvious to all of us.
That's
that we were
certainly
getting
an interpretation.
I'm just so curious to see what comes of it in terms
Nothing.
like both short term and long term.
Nothing. The answer is
You think there's no? Yeah, you think things continue as normal? No.
any changes,
well-
like Jason said, any changes. One, I think absolutely zero things change because BofA doesn't approve of them right now. Their internal metrics are all they're going to rely on. And if those internal metrics show what BofA thinks they might show, then you will see a slow course adjustment. Will you see someone come in at the CEO level and take the company in a whole new direction? I mean, we kind of already have. Chris Cox has gone on to become CEO of Hasbro. We are back to the gathering. We're going giant conventions in Philadelphia coming up, 450,000 square feet of a convention for Magic. I mean, that's where they see things going. And they
That's
see
pretty cool. I like
they
that.
see,
I really
and
like
they
that.
see, secret layers exclusive to cons. I think some of those products work very well, and then some of them, might lead to the BofA criticism. We'll see how it plays out. But I don't suspect that this report coming out today makes many waves across the company. Now, what the guy predicts for their share price, sure, but even that is something that I mean, their share price has gotten rocked this year. It peaked at 100 something, like 105, I think. It's currently in the 50s, I believe. Like Hasbro stock has gotten absolutely rocked. So I don't really. This is just to be expected in a recession.
Well,
And you can read all of Corbin's opinions on this on Commander's Herald. There'll be an article up by the time you're listening to this, no doubt.
True.
Are you gonna write that?
As a matter of fact, I am. As soon as we're done here, my friend, and that is why we need to move on to Breaking Bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Okay, let's start things off with DJ's Breaking Bulk. He's not here, but I'll give this to you all. This is a card from the set, Theros Beyond.
Theros Beyond Death?
That's the one.
As opposed to what?
This is a card.
Okay. Let's narrow it
Is
down
it
to what,
is it a
300
token?
options?
Is it a token, Corbin?
It's a card. It's a green card.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Is it a...
Is it a creature?
No.
Nope. No, it's a card.
What does that mean?
I don't... See, it's DJ and Corbin are teaming up to play a prank on me right now, and that's what hurts. I don't like to be in the minority. I like it when it's me and DJ picking on Corbin or me and Corbin picking on DJ. The fact that they have teamed up to do a bit...
Well, one of them's not even present.
Well, one of them's not even going to watch the podcast later to see how the bit went. It's just, who's this for?
So
I'm
you're not
stumped.
going to
I'm
be able to
stumped.
guess as to what this card is?
Is it like Karametra's favorite or something like that? Or is it like, why are you saying it's a card?
It's from Theros Beyond Death. It's
Okay.
a card. It's
Yep,
green.
registered.
Is it a green
registered.
creature?
Got it.
No.
Okay. Is it a green instant?
No, it's like a piece of cardboard or something that comes in like a pack or something.
Of course, it's a piece of
Yeah,
cardboard.
is it like a promo like checkout arena kind of
No,
thing?
it's
or
not a
here's fun
promo.
minigame?
Was it one of the cards from the PvE thing with the Hydra?
That is not Theros Beyond Death.
How do I know that? Just tell
And
me
that
what it
promo
is.
was-
This is so stupid. You're not
Yeah,
even
what is
enjoying
it?
this.
What is it?
Nobody
You don't-
listening likes
You don't
this.
even have any.
Why
use,
are we
you
doing
don't even
this
have any
bit
useful
still?
clues for us, Corbin.
Listen, do you just want me to tell you what it is? Since you can't
Yes.
guess? I thought this
Yeah,
was
give it
easy.
to us.
That's all I've ever wanted.
What is it? What is
It's
it?
it's Wolf Willow Haven.
What? How's that not a creature? That sounds like a. What is
It
it?
sounds like a land.
It's an aura. 2 mana, enchant land. When enchant land is set for mana, its controller adds an additional green. 5 mana, sacrifice it, make a 2/2 wolf. Activate on
I
your
think
turn.
we were thrown off by the fact that you kept saying it's a
was a
card
card.
with
I
a
hate you
with
so
a with
much.
a with an inflection in your voice as though it was something special. And
Now
unusual,
Jason's
but
mad.
It was just a,
Now Jason's mad.
it was just a
twice.
different card type, you bastard.
Now Jason's mad twice.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Twice.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
2 different times. What
Hopeless.
an amazing one.
Hey, it's a funny game where Jason questions why he still does this podcast in his late 30s with 2 complete dip who cannot riff. If you guys could riff, this would be fun for me.
Bro, we just riffed on you
I'm
hard
just
as-
so sick of carrying the whole podcast on my back.
Bro, you just riffed. Your BofA just got ripped on.
Yeah, well, you can riff both of these nuts across your face. Jesus.
So what's the significance of Wolf Willow Haven? Is it any chop?
Just a ramp card, man. It's 45 cents.
Oh, I got a white card from M19, Corbin. Good luck.
Is it an uncommon like Wolf Willow Haven was? You should have
It
asked that.
is an uncommon, and I'm giving you that information. Wow, how generous.
You should have asked.
I asked what's wrong with you. That was a question. Come on, Corbin. It's a white M19 card. It's an enchantment.
Is it the,
It's a simple enchantment.
is
Not
it
an
the
aura?
one that
It's
allows
not an
you
aura.
Is it the one that allows you to gain a life and or do a thing?
Is it
Gain one
pacifism? I bet
life.
that was in M19, right?
Do you think it's pacifism, Jake?
No,
Yeah.
I think it's the card that allows you to do that thing.
Well, Corbin, I'm
just-
going to need the name.
I don't know the name, man.
Well, then I can't.
It's
give
play.
you the-
Listen, well, you know what? I'm gonna go to twitter.com where I tweeted a 5-0 modern deck list last week that included this card because it was a Martyr of Sands Proclamation of Rebirth deck, which is amazing.
Take your to twitter.com, Corbin. While it's listen, we're recording this cast on a Monday while there's Twitter. This could go out on Wednesday to patrons. They
It'll
don't know
be
what that
gone.
website is.
That's fair. That's super fair.
I
Give
mean,
us more
earlier
clues,
this
Jason.
week,
Give me more. What does it cost? What is the enchantment?
The answer is
cost?
Abiding Grace.
it's a Johnny's Welcome. You idiot.
Oh,
Should
is
be
it the little
Abiding
one? It's like a
Grace.
Soul Sister. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
A
Abiding
Johnny's Welcome
Grace.
just gives you a life. Abiding Grace out of Modern Horizons 2, though, by the way, that's where it's at.
Oh, yeah. Remember when I said this card was some Modern Horizons 2? Remember I said that?
To be fair, they are similar
You
cards.
donkey. All right, Jake. if you've gotten a few clues on how this game works, it doesn't. So
Yeah, there is no game here.
DJ
I'm
ruins the
trying to
game
give a
every
couple
week.
more clues. Okay, mine is an uncommon from Dominaria.
Damping
just
Sphere.
an uncommon. Is it an artifact then?
It is a green uncommon, and it is also a creature.
Or Fungus Lord thing.
No, it's not a fungus.
From Dominaria.
A green uncommon from original Dominaria.
Yeah, from the one from like.
Is it the
when was
saga,
2 or
the
3
green
years ago?
uncommon saga that makes your creature?
No, it's a
make
creature.
mana?
It's a creature,
Creature.
and it certainly involves counters. And I actually think it's probably going to be a pretty good card with an upcoming,
Why don't I
deck
know what
based.
this is?
based on a spoiler that we got really recently, a leak from Jumpstart 2022.
I don't. I'm thinking.
Okay, I'll give you one more clue.
I did a ton of
Bananas.
Dominaria, so hold up.
Bananas, Corbin.
Mm-hmm. Go bananas. Go.
No,
go,
Tassiger's got bananas.
go bananas.
It's a different type of Banana King.
Would that be Ragavan?
No, because that wasn't from Dominaria. That was MH.
I'm trying to figure out what cards have to do with bananas in Magic, man.
Someone listening to it has definitely got it by now. Someone's been building the deck I'm thinking about. Do you give up?
Yes.
He's so annoyed. It is Grun, the Lonely King, the big ape warrior 5/5 bloke with
I know what it
Kicker.
does, yeah.
Yeah. What's that worth?
diddly squat is my guess. 6 cents USD. But it's poised to spike right up with the printing of what's it called? Kibo Uktabi prints.
He does understand how the game works, Jason. He gets it.
That's how DJ plays.
That's how DJ plays.
That's
the
exactly
game.
how DJ plays.
Yeah, isn't that the right way to do it? I'm trying to actually.
No!
It's terrible.
You did break
What,
it-
really?
You did pick of the week.
Okay,
We
well,
don't
then
know
I've
how
had
to
it-
play the f***ing game either, man. That you're one of us. That's why we're laughing. It's because
Oh, that's great.
Like,
Okay,
what's it
I'm-
worth?
I'm-
Oh, it isn't worth.
I'm
Now take it out of bulk because someday.
They're really
Okay,
are
sweet. All right,
very
I'm
good
glad.
rules.
I'm glad I fit in. Points are
No,
made
yeah,
up and nothing
the
matters.
whole bit of this game is that there are no rules, despite there being rules, and it's always DJ who finds a way to break them. That's
Okay,
all
so
we know. That's
Okay,
all
well then
we know.
when we come around to pick of the week, that's what I'll do.
Welcome to Breaking Bulk, the game where the rules are made up and the points don't matter.
Except I'll give you I'll play the game by the rules. An Ixalan green uncommon. Because we're going back to Ixalan in a few months.
Is it a
baby.
creature?
It is.
Does it make you explore?
Nope.
Is it a merfolk?
Nope. I really like the explore mechanic though. I hope it comes back.
Explore is a sicko mechanic.
Honestly,
That's
Ixalan-
like the
Blessing,
only
too.
Ixalan
I like
that I
City's
liked.
Blessing.
Honestly, I was like less so on City's Blessing, but Enrage was good too. It was a perfect dinosaur mechanic. Like
No, City's Blessing's rad, dude.
the whole set, though. I mean, I can't speak. The limited experience was mid. I don't think people loved it for constructed. It was really underpowered, coming whenever it came. Blah blah blah. But on like a sort of thematic mechanical level, I thought Ixalan was really cool.
It was Kamigawa tier in terms of how it just like made EDH ridiculous.
Well,
Like
it should. It had good
every
EDH
dumb
cards.
legendary creature in Ixalan block is just an absolute beater in EDH. It's amazing.
Yeah, like it's.
I think Ixalan's like the
um,
only set from the last 5 or 6 years that I wasn't playing during the time of. I got no
yeah.
idea what that set's like, but like the vibe isn't that. I feel like people don't speak of it that fondly. I feel like I didn't miss much.
The pirates were kind of like there
It
wasn't
abutted
like
Kaladesh.
It
So
just
it
didn't
was
come
like
at a good
everyone was
time.
like a T-Rex and an F-16. Is that what we're doing? Like
I
Calvin
think
and
Yeah,
Hobbes?
I-
which
I
is
didn't-
which is so tame by comparison now.
Oh my god, I know. There's
Yeah,
gonna be an
Kaladesh
actual
came
I
out
remember,
Calvin
people
Hobbes secret
joking about
lair.
that at the time. Like you could crew Smuggler's Copter with a dinosaur, and it was like, oh, how good
it was
is this?
it was Kaladesh into Dominaria into Ixalan, and Kaladesh
Oh,
was
there you
obviously
go.
super powerful, and Dominaria was super beloved, and Ixalan had a bunch of underpowered cards, and the tribes were hit or miss for you, and it was just yeah.
Was it Ravnica after
Corbin
Ixalan?
didn't like that the merfolk were Namor from the new Black Panther movie.
You lost me, man. I haven't seen it.
It's been out for 24 hours. Get your together.
I'm very far behind on most of those things because I was at Disney World experiencing
Hey,
instead.
how do you know if someone is a vegan or has been to Disney World?
They'll tell you.
Yeah.
Good one. But also, I just came back from Disney World. I'd never been in Disney World in a hurricane.
There you go.
before.
There you go.
And this time I got to experience a hurricane.
Was it
Category
fun?
1 hurricane blew in the
Were you
middle of
happy
our
with it?
thing. Well, they closed the parks down early and then opened it up late, which they did so that they don't have to refund you, because if they close for an entire day, they have to refund you. But if they just close at like 3 in the afternoon and open at 1 in the afternoon, well, they haven't been closed 24 hours or whatever. So there was that. It was honestly a fine break for like the adults in our group. The kids were a
that's
little
something.
less enjoyed by it. Like they didn't enjoy it as much, but they brought the characters out, had like a little dance party at the resort, like
Oh, nice.
whatever the place, the gathering place. So it was fine. It was fine, and it only lasted about. I mean, we got rained on for about 3 days, but even that is. Hey, I'll take getting like sprinkled on and wet and cold in Florida over the 90 degrees humidity, like you're in the pits of hell every other day in Florida. Anyways, it's still a green uncommon. I noticed you all tried to distract me, get me off course. I decided to indulge you, and you're asking about my personal life to try to get me off track. But it is a green uncommon. It's a dinosaur.
What does it
Ixalan.
cost?
Jake is interviewing you, and I was like, this man could have an interview podcast someday. I better just like let him practice. So that's what happened. Is this Ixalan or Rivals of Ixalan, bro?
It's Ixalan.
Well, why was I thinking Rivals of Ixalan?
What does it cost, Corbin?
3
It's a
mana.
dinosaur. What does it cost? The only
Is it a
3-mana
dinosaur?
dinosaur I know is Rampaging Ferocidon, and that's red.
No,
So
Raging
that's not,
Raptors.
that's not
is
helpful.
Raging
Jason got it. It's Raging Raptors.
That was
It's
the free
a
drop
75 cent. It's a 75 cent uncommon.
How
It's
is that
a
75 cents? It's the only dinosaur that got reprinted.
well. It was in Game Night 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, which has the numbers 2019 on it, Jason. So you don't believe me, but that's been almost 4 years now.
No.
Okay. So 75 cents Raging Raptors. It's a 3 mana 2/3. Enrage, whenever it takes damage, you can get a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped. You can just, even if you don't have pingers, and by the way, I'll note that there was recently a resurgence in pinger decks in Commander, based on whatever cards I've already
Swedish
forgotten the name
Gunslinger,
of.
baby.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
We did a
Enrage is
whole
just a cool
episode about
mechanic.
that. Do you not
Yep.
remember?
The old
I
Jane
remember
Steeler
everything.
fella.
Gerstenstein.
You know what I especially remember is how important it is to go to mtgstocks.com, because that is where we go to find all of our picks of the week, our breakings bulks. That's where Jake goes to find 6-cent cards for breaking bulk. He wouldn't know how much they cost without MTG
That's 6 cents
stocks.
Australian, though.
Yeah.
Good point.
Even less.
I don't know what it costs in freedom units. But you should go to mtgstocks.com because it'll have all that information for you. Even if you're in Europe and want some euro prices, you can get it all, and you can go to the premium side of the website to get all the updates and be able to set any additional filters and alerts and really all the information you need. It's the best financial resource on the internet for Magic, and it's a pretty good one for Pokemon as well. So go check out mtgstocks.com. We talk about them every week. They sponsor this podcast, but we talked about them every week before that too, because they're just the best in the business. Now, speaking of the best in the business, Jason and I were at Magic 30, where we got to meet some of the best in the business, and also Jake came along.
Yeah, sure.
I tried to take you on a real journey there. Just you didn't know if I was gonna compliment us. You didn't know if I was gonna insult.
You still
Jason.
haven't explained to me why Jake is on the podcast this week. So I thought maybe you were going to explain it to them and I would get to find out.
It's so I can misunderstand how games work. I mean, this is my second time. Did I get it right the first time I was on?
I think you did, because you cared then. You hadn't been in Magic content long enough to know that you're supposed to be jaded.
It was only like 6 months ago.
And yet it feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it, Jake? Yeah.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man. You've spent 6 months on Magic Twitter, all right? Time is a circle. Money isn't real. Dopamine is. You got to learn these things.
The last 6 months of Twitter.
The last 6 months of Twitter, sure. Jake, will you be paying for a check mark, buddy?
Nah. I reckon like 6 months ago, I probably would have, where I was like putting more effort and attention into like trying to make Twitter worthwhile, but Twitter's too frustrating of a platform. It's great for dopamine, but the stuff that tends to do well is like the low effort, like here's a high res photo of a card from Scryfall. Here's a really simple question, and it's fine. Like it works. People respond to it, but then you see how well that does compared to like something you put some thought and effort into, which goes absolutely nowhere.
Jake, the real lesson comes when you learn that that's not just Twitter, my man.
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole world. That's the media. That's
this podcast. That's this podcast.
Everything.
If you say what a dumb guy's thinking while he's thinking, he's like, "Holy shit, this guy's the smartest person I've ever met."
Well, it's that whole thing. If you think about how dumb the average person is. Look, maybe this is
George Carlin.
Half or worse than that.
Half
right?
the people are dumber. Yeah, George Carlin's pretty great. The goat.
Well, there you go.
But that's no chance am I paying for an $8 check mark for that absolute.
Okay, so here I will get $8 worth of value. Step 1, buy the check mark. Step 2, change your account to Wizards of the Coast. Step 3, say we're abolishing the reserve list.
I can't believe
if you say reserve, you'll only trick dumb people.
Yeah, how come that hasn't happened yet? That's kind of surprising, right?
I can't believe it hasn't happened yet, frankly. It's such an easy gag, and I don't approve of it. I do not
no
sponsor, approve, sign off on this. You should not do it. However, I am surprised it hasn't been.
The ship has kind of sailed on it now as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think they cut that off, by the way. I think Twitter left that up.
Yeah, but they probably
24 hours.
You know what else they cut off today? Elon called like a lot of the background processes bloatware, and he deleted the one that
that a lot of people
two-factor for two-factor authentication.
Amazing.
Holy shit.
I think Twitter will be just fine. A lot of people have talked about, are you guys leaving? Is EDHREC leaving? Is the platform done? Is Magic Twitter done? Is it over? And I think it's probably not going anywhere.
I think Twitter will recover from Elon up coming into the office and just being like, what's this do? Until he's like, you know what? I actually can't sit at a cubicle and make Twitter better all by myself like I thought I was gonna. So I'll let
somebody will get trapped in
Twitter.
Look, somebody will get trapped in a cave and he'll be off to build.
Call them a pedophile.
Yeah, and accuse them of being pedophiles. Yeah, and suggest that a submarine could fit through a cave when a person can't fit through it, which is just super cool. He's a smart guy. He's definitely funny as well.
We could do
If
this
he
all
wasn't
night.
smart, why would he have so much money?
Listen, this is why we brought Jake on.
Hater.
Because we want an Australian's opinion about American things. And Jake just completed a tour through the United States that included Magic 30. It included a trip to New Orleans. I think you probably did some other American things while you were here. So what was the deal, Jake? How long were you over here? Have you been here before? What was life like for you?
Yeah, I came to America when I was 13 or 14 on a family trip, and we went to LA and New York, and I thought New York was sick, and I thought LA was like really gross. And as I understand,
LA's
it's
trash,
even it's even grosser now. So I wasn't particularly keen to go back there, but I was keen to go to San Francisco because I'd heard it was awesome. And I started my trip there. I had 4 or 5 days there before coming to meet the two of you at Magic 30. And San Francisco was sweet, but it was interesting how much it reminded me of Sydney. Like, it's way too expensive. It's very sunny and very nice and beautiful coast and harbour, and also defined by an enormous bridge. Although, I mean, we carry on about the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which is quite the marvel for us down here, but the what's it called? The Golden Gate is unbelievable. I walked one side to the and then back. It was like, I think a bit over 6 kilometers. I don't know what that is in freedom units. Like,
You're not allowed to call
someone else can figure.
You're not allowed to call them.
Well,
freedom
what? That's
units,
your
Jake.
word. That's your word.
Isn't it 1.6 kilometers per mile?
No one knows. You're the scientist.
That sounds something. Look, the point is that it was long.
So
it took
it's
me
probably
yonks
like
to walk
4
it back and
miles
forth.
then.
But yeah, it was cool.
4-ish
And
miles.
San Fran's a very, very cool. I mean, America in general is mad. I've been really lucky, and I've been to I mean, if people can't see it, if you're listening on audio, Corbin grimaced as I said that.
Yeah, because he's not going to go to Butte, Montana.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a very cool place to visit. It is not somewhere. I mean, it's certainly reinforced that it is not somewhere that I'm in any sort of hurry to move to. But yeah, hell of a place to travel to.
Well, you came in, you got a few days in San Francisco, then you can go to Vegas, which is, an experience. We took Jake out and went and watched the fountains at the Bellagio. We walked the Strip. We had a good time.
Corbin tried to take him to an Outback Steakhouse.
Tried to get him to go to Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, I still
with
never
Rich
ended up
Hagen and
going to
I.
any Outback Steakhouses. Yeah, which is a shame.
Next time, buddy.
I think they do exist somewhere in Australia. There must.
Yeah, every steakhouse.
No, they don't do
yeah,
blooming
Vegas
onions in Australia.
They just call them
don't,
onions.
which is a shame because they're good. They're really good.
You hear that?
Vegas was.
He says Outback Steakhouse is good.
Yeah, quote me on it. Vegas was sick. Like, Vegas lived, well, I say sick. It was sick in both senses. It was like also quite sickening in many ways. Like, it completely lived up to the hype in terms of it being so audacious and up in your face and all over the shop. But Christ alive, it was expensive. Like it just, and it makes sense given why it exists and what it is, but every single opportunity to squeeze an extra $1 out of you, and so hard to get around. Like, you got to Uber
You have to
absolutely
gamble
everywhere
because you didn't plan on paying $6.50 for a Gatorade in your hotel, so you have to gamble.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you can't afford the.
Get those free drinks.
Yeah.
It's value. So did you? We talked. You have some form of casinos and stuff. So you weren't. It's not like the first time you've ever done that. But what was your take after experiencing the Strip, experiencing Fremont? You're just dying to go back.
Well,
to
that's
Las
the thing
Vegas?
is that like seeing. I wouldn't say I'm dying to go back to Las Vegas, but it's such a like assault on the senses. Like, there's something very intoxicating about it. Like, every night when I got back to my hotel room, I was like, oh my God, silence, darkness. This is so pleasant. Whereas the rest of Vegas is kind of suffocating. I'm not in a hurry to get back to Vegas, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. But it's like the gambling in the casinos themselves, like, obviously there's more of them than there are here in Sydney, but it's not extremely, just more intense. It's not extremely different, and it's like seeing the pokies absolutely everywhere. And I will butt in before either of you ask, because you both asked when I said it in person.
It means jail.
No,
Pokey
it is
means
not jail. No,
It's a
pokies.
food. It's a
Pokey.
food.
No,
It's a
a
kind
slot,
of fish.
a slot machine. You bastards. That's what you call them, right? A slot
No,
machine.
it's a video poker machine. We don't.
Video poker-
We call
video
them a lot
poker
of things,
machine.
and none of them are pokies.
Okay, well, we call them pokies, and sometimes at formal occasions we call them Pokemons. No, we just call them pokies. But yeah, they're absolutely everywhere
I
in
hope
Australia.
JJ
like-
puts the sound effect of a cricket chirping on that one. I hope
Wow.
he-
Sound of a metapod battling.
Yeah, I'll take that. That'd be even better. But like 1 in 5,
metapod?
Because he said Pokemon, get it?
Yeah, but
And
Metapod doesn't have any attacks.
exactly, it's silent, Jason.
it's got Harden. That's an
Harden's
that's
not
not
an
an
attack.
attack, is that?
And that's the whole point. It would be silent.
It wouldn't be silent. It shoots string. It lowers
You just
your
said it doesn't
accuracy.
attack.
How do you,
That's not
What
an
makes you
attack.
th-
It's a status.
String shot?
Yeah.
It's definitely an attack.
yeah, it's got to be an
No.
attack, right? They don't
Has
break
it
them
gotta
down
be
into
an
different
attack?
things in Pokemon, do they?
No. And obviously, I'm talking colloquially as someone who watched the show.
Yeah, you hear Ash Ketchum's now like a Pokemon master in the show. You finally got
I
there?
did see that, which is,
Yeah,
I
that's
have to
exciting.
say, listen, I have to say, spoilers. asshole.
What? Oh, as if. The only
People
place I've
wait-
seen it has been it's been non-stop headlines all over like.
But
Twitter
waiting
and Facebook and
25
Reddit.
years,
I don't think
and you're just gonna like, oh, did you hear? Did you have
What
Game of
season
Thrones
are you-
did?
what season
You've
are
been
you up to,
watching for
Corbin?
25 seasons of Supernatural. You want to know how Supernatural ends? That's you
No.
right now.
Supernatural ends in the best way possible by not doing any more episodes of that show anymore.
Do you know how many there are? Me neither,
No,
but it's
I
like
don't care.
1,000.
Never seen one of them.
It's
I-
like
I think there's
like-
literally 500.
it's America's One Piece.
Yeah, there's like
There's like it's on the CW and it's not illegal to keep making it. We can't stop.
I think there's let's find out how many episodes of Supernatural are there. 320. There
That's
you
so
go.
many.
Sorry, 327 it says.
That's so many.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
That's 15,
Yikes.
18 episode seasons.
That's a lot. That's a lot. All right, what else did you do in America, Jake? Actually, before we go on, what did you think of Magic 30 then? You were somebody who has not like lived at GPs or been familiar with pro
not at all.
coverage. You are someone jaded by
Hang on,
Twitter. What was your take on Magic 30?
So I've been to like Australia's had bits and pieces of stuff. I've been to. I think the biggest thing I'd been to before this was the Magic Command Fest thing in Sydney earlier this year, hosted by Good Games, which was like, I think, a couple of hundred people. And that was good, but that was also like, at that point, that was the biggest thing I'd ever been to. And as excited as I was to go to Magic 30, I hadn't really looked up really what was going to happen at it, because more than anything else, I was excited to go to America and just have a big trip. Like, I was sure that whatever would happen at Magic 30, I'd have a fun time and get
Yeah.
something out of it. But certainly actually getting there and realizing it was more of like a convention than just people playing was, at least for me and the way that I want to experience something like this, so much more interesting, because I can sit down and have a couple games of Commander, but I want to do other things. I want to go look at stuff. I want to chat with people. If it's just nothing but play space and tables, I probably wouldn't have spent nearly as much time at it. But the fact that there were however many dozen huge stalls with so much cool stuff to look at and go through, especially I've never seen it before, but like there's one great stall that had nothing but damaged cards that you could just leave through in a box, and I had a lot of fun picking up stuff that I would otherwise not really spend any money on, but because it was like ripped or torn or just like beaten to absolute fuck. And I came home with a whole handful of nice dirty filthy manky cards, which I thought was really, really fun. It was
Did
like
you
all the
wear
side
gloves?
events that I
See, Brainstorm Brewery listeners and viewers will know that anyone who's handled DJ's unsleeved deck with damaged cards, wear gloves or wash your hands immediately.
Yeah, what, it's really that sticky?
It's just dirty.
It just it transfers an odor.
If there's a lot of
Okay.
cards and a lot
There's
of
an
people,
aroma.
a lot of people have been like, "Hey, you know, it'd be really neat, DJ, if I could shuffle your deck." And DJ's like, "Here, have all my germs and the germs of everyone who comes before you. We
And
never
they're
watched
like, I
this
will
deck."
add my germs to this fomite that is going to cause like the next coronavirus.
This science experiment here. Yeah, let me rub up
it's
on
a pretty
it there. Let me riffle
porous
that shit.
Jake,
It's
you're
a very
Australian.
porous,
It's like
absorbent
Mad
material.
Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome. He's made a Thunderdome for germs.
Oh, that's the worst one. That's the worst Mad Max there
Of course
is.
he's seen
No, Fury Road is.
Okay, Jason.
Oh,
you're
get outta
fired.
here, Jason.
You're
That's such a bad
fired.
opinion.
Even I know that one. Get out.
It's just not even worth having an opinion like that. Get out of
Tom
here.
Hardy
It's easily
sucks.
the best one.
Jason's
Oh,
not worth having an
whatever. Tom
opinion.
Hardy, absolutely.
Tom Hardy's so bad, I would rather they cast Mel Gibson now.
No, these are that's strong. These are pointless contrarian opinions for the sake of pointless contrarian.
That's what he
opinions.
does, man.
I know he does, but we're not
Or I
falling
just
for
didn't
it. Tom
enjoy
Tom Hardy is exceptional.
No, oh my god.
Is he?
He's
is
exceptional.
He
He's so
Australian? Is that
goddamn
the
good.
thing?
No, he's just good. He plays lots of good characters in good movies that I enjoy,
Shut the
with the possible
fuck up.
exception of Venom.
Please stop. Don't do
I'm
this.
standing by it. I'm standing by it.
No. I have to
Okay,
continue
let's-
to respect
let-
your
let's-
opinion for things in
let's
EDH
get-
Rec and Commander's Herald to function smoothly.
You don't.
You can't say Tom
let's
Hardy's
get back to-
exceptional.
Let's get back to Magic 30, Corbin.
Okay,
I found
buddy.
it quite funny that while I was there, I was getting particularly on the first day there, I was getting messages from my friends and my play group in Australia being like, "Oh my god, Jake, spill the beans. Is it as dog as everyone keeps saying it is?" Because they'd seen the stuff go up on Reddit and Twitter.
Of course.
And at that point, I wasn't even aware of because I hadn't like gone to go play. I didn't even realize the command zone was like sort of segregated, which to their credit, like they fixed. The second day it was fine, and then the day
Of course
after
they
it was
did,
fine.
and they used
But-
the same picture all weekend to talk about it. But yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. But so it was funny seeing people like my friends had sent me like, look at this post on Reddit of what the command zone looks like. And I was like, okay, yeah, that actually is true from this part of the hall if you stand in it and angle it this way. But then I took some footage and a couple of photos myself from just different angles that would make it look as though it was absolutely stacked to the brim. And yeah, so much of all the complaints about like where it was located, how much it actually cost, that much, yeah, sure. But in terms of the actual event itself, and honestly, in terms of the value for money, I thought it was fucking awesome. There was so much to do. There was so much to see. Like I was there, like I slept in a little bit in the mornings, but I tried to get there as early as I could every day, and I didn't leave until it properly finished. And I was chock-a-block busy the whole time. It was great. I loved it. And it's also made me feel a little bit like, I mean, I'm saying it now on a podcast, but I've stayed almost sort of quiet about it on social media because people love shitting on it so much that you're accused
Cloud
of
opportunity of the year.
Yeah. People imply it's like, oh, well, you're only saying the right thing, so Wizards looks favorably upon you, or like suggesting that they've somehow like
welcome to the club, buddy.
Hushed you up or something. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was good start to finish. I had a really, really good time. And as far as like the first big Magic event that I could go to, I don't really think I could have asked for more.
Yeah, you could have.
That's just me.
Those
You
are
could've
dangerous.
Well, I'm sure I could. I'm
positive
sure I could have.
words.
The people that have been to bucket loads of them, I'm sure there was heaps of stuff that like, I mean, I'm bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and just sort of wandering around with my head up, looking at everything.
Sure, but I'll say this. This was different. I've been to probably literally 100. I've been to 3 digits of high-level events, and this comes the closest thing that's ever come to this. Our Vegas 2018 or 2019, whatever the big one Channel Fireball did was, and maybe Magic Weekend in Paris in 2011, I think it was. And they got away from that because it made the Pro Tour feel less special, and they went back to having smaller Pro Tours that were just the Pro Tour, so it could be to improve the player experience instead of, having it just as a side thing next to a GP. So we'll see how, in Philadelphia it comes back. And how it's set up, that was the roadblock then. Now we seem to be going kind of back to that model of we're having a Magic convention. But yes, the convention aspect of it, when all of us, when we walked in and saw how many things were set up out front,
Yeah,
all those
absolutely.
layers as they're calling them, yeah, that stuff blew you away. And the things with the play space, all of those things they iterated on, lots of valid criticisms to be made, I'm sure, but it was a different event than any I'd been to before. So they're at the very least being ambitious to those.
Yeah,
things you spoke
I
about.
really appreciated how like the it's a shame there wasn't more play space within them, but at the same time, it made sense to only have a couple of tables in those layers because otherwise you just have another play space that looks a bit different. But being able to walk in like the Kaladesh themed one, actually I was about to say Coldheim. I don't think there was a Coldheim themed one, but like the Dominaria one and the New Capenna one, that was great. And it was fun sort of going through, taking photos for friends and the various, like there was a big Garrick Wild Speaker cosplayer standing up on a platform. That one was all really cool. I mean, also for me, I don't know if this is more common at other Magic things, but all the artists, I really enjoyed the stalls full of art and the artists themselves, although I really had a naive view of how it would go getting cards signed. I imagine that it'd be the kind of thing where it's like you line up with like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 cards in your deck, or maybe you really like Arcane Signet and you got a couple of them handy and you ask, hey, could I have these signed? And then they sign them and you do it. But people truly like showing up with like 100 cards at a time, wanting like a double signature on them with like the regular black and then the gold as well. And it takes like hours for it to happen. And so some people are waiting in lines for like 3 hours, which is just insane to me. But also I can't hold it against the artists for half a second, because for them, they're doing the same pen stroke over and over and over again and getting paid hand over fist for it. So more power to them. That is a wonderful way to, and it's really nice. Like I did wait in a couple of lines and I got some stuff. I got some artist proofs. I'd never actually seen them before.
Cool.
I didn't know what it was. It was funny. I was looking through one of the binders and didn't know what an artist proof was, and I was like, oh cool, they're fake cards, and then asked the guy and but I got a couple of those signed, which was really nice. And it was nice like I spoke to Liz Danforth, who did Merchant Scroll or something, I think, and that Merchant Scroll copy that I happen to have on me, I've had since I built like Gift Storm in like 2015 or something. And it's just nice talking to someone whose art you've been using for that long, and I'll always remember getting that little signature. But I imagine it's a lot more special to me than someone that rocked up with like 500 copies of Jeweled Lotus to get signed by Alana Daya. I so wanted that signed, but that line was just truly 3 hours
look,
long.
you did that's what the experience is for. And it's also a little different, just even in the way they set it up. At a GP in the past, you might have 10 artists. They'd be along the wall just with their backdrop and a table in front of them, right? And it just feels different than when they pipe and drape it like they did at this show with the names behind them and with a whole big.
Well, this show, look,
just
if
a
you've been
different
to Gen
experience.
Con, it was more like Gen Con.
Yeah. So they
like
need to go a long way, the lines. So not that long ago, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, artists didn't even pay to sign cards. Didn't even charge to get cards signed. It was more like a tip thing. And then a couple people came along and started $1 a card or whatever, right? And that's what you just have to do. And they were like, because people just show up with 200 copies of a card, and then maybe they tip you $5 and you just spent 30 minutes with them or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a dollar a card. It also removes a lot of, because a lot of people want a tip, right? But they don't know what's appropriate. And you just say $1 a card. It's nice and simple. So lots of different ways. But they had a lot of demand there. And they announced that for Philadelphia, they're going to be more than doubling the floor space that they had in Vegas. So when we hit the next one here, we'll see how they iterate on all of these things.
More than doubling the floor space from Vegas.
More than doubling. The biggest Vegas GP.
No, it wasn't. I agree. In terms of people,
I couldn't believe the scale of it.
Well, this was sort of like the nicest one if you look at it that way. But Jason's right, just in terms of size and number of people walking through it, the previous Vegases were probably larger because they had the big convention center, and it wasn't ticket limited, right? It was free to get into.
It was pretty weird.
Get to Vegas could get there.
It was pretty weird that this one had that like secondary play space section that was like, it was only a short walk, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but at the top of another floor elsewhere. That was really informal. I
think that got added late in the. I think that most based on how I know events typically go, they said, well, we don't have as much space as we might need on the main floor. Yeah. Where can we divert people? What's available to us? And they have to work with the venue, and that's what was available to them. So, I said, hopefully
my first day, the
there's a
commander
lot better.
that I did play was up there, and that felt a bit. And And again, it was just the Friday, and it was fine thereafter. But that felt weird, like we were trying to convince whoever it was up there to sort of roll more tables out because people were playing on the floor. But like my experience the whole way through was that the criticism was taken on board and stuff was like solved, fixed pretty quickly. Like there was all that. There were people complaining about the lights not coming on. But that was so overstated online that people like had to play outside in the dark. Like it got quite dim. It did, but then the lights went on and everyone cheered, and then things just went back to normal. Like, I don't know, people just whinging and complaining. Yeah, there's no clout in saying I had a good time. It was fun.
There's no clout in telling people who stayed home.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not telling anyone that, but it certainly was a much better event than
and something that
complaint train would suggest. I think.
Yeah, well, something else to bring up is that they also, as someone who was on staff that weekend, were extremely serious about the mask policy. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but it was it sounded like they did a lot better than the Magic Summit event where no one was masking.
Well, in Salt Lake City, they know that masks interfere with God's plan. So, like, I get it. You wouldn't want to spit in God's eye by telling him that, like, you're not ready to go yet.
I was surprised by that. I didn't think the mask stuff would be taken as seriously as it was. Partially because it was so big and where we are in the pandemic, but also with respect to the two of you, just because of my impression of America is masks are a little bit more political and a little bit more...
Yeah, but it's a litigious country, so companies cover their ass. Every single employee on Fox News telling you not to get the Fauci ouchie was vaccinated. Yeah. So, like, corporations definitely don't want somebody getting sick and fucking things up.
Yeah, totally. Wizards is going to do anything they can to avoid legal liability. And if they have a policy, they need to enforce that policy. So they did it is what it is, right? We don't need to get too deep into it, but it moves along with the idea of let's hope that all the feedback received, and there was a lot of it, results in a much better event in Philadelphia. But there's a lot of really cool things about it. Well, we were glad to have you over here. It was fun. It was good. We all got to hang out and do some.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
Pokies, I guess you might say.
Have a slap on the pokies is what you might say.
Have a slap on the pokies. Yep, that's right. What I'm going to tell my friends next time they want to go out to the casino. Can we get a slap in on the pokey?
Yeah,
that's how Jake
that'll
says
do.
It.
That'll do.
That's not a knife.
Yeah, wow, that's spot on. I hope the editor cuts that out. That was heinous.
All right, well, before we get out of here this week, we want to give you all some picks.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Jake, you're the guest. Do you have a pick of the week ready to go?
Well, so given I got the first game wrong, let's just go over the rules for this one.
Yeah,
something that I think, a card.
It's a card you think is going to go up later.
Is going to go up later, but is low now.
It's going to be
high now, but it's going to be worth more later.
Yeah.
Well, do you want one from the new set?
It's up to you, my man.
I reckon Soul's Partition, or maybe it's just Soul Partition, from Partition. Brothers War. I think that has got real like long-term potential in, I mean, I'm so far from a finance guy, but in terms of just like what it provides and does, I think that's really, really unique for white decks and really useful. I mean, white's got no shortage of blink stuff, but white doesn't have what is essentially a bounce spell. Like the fact that this can instant speed remove anything that's in your way. I mean, I'm also coming from a more CDH perspective here, but the fact that just for 2 mana, you can get rid of whatever it is that's stopping you from winning, or you can use it to rebuy and redo any valuable ETBs you've got, LTBs if you've got them. I mean, in a pinch, you can even use it as just like, just like a bounce spell. You can use it as protection, save yourself something from removal, and then replay it. I also really like the interaction with Draneth Magistrate. I think that's great. It's just like, as long as Magistrate's out, it's just true, genuine removal. That is my pick of the week. I understood the assignment.
Oh, good for you.
Terrible
you got
job.
there. You got there.
Yeah, 1 for 2. 1 for 2.
I mean, that's better than us most weeks.
Sure thing.
We're going to give you a hard time, but also the number of times I've been like, this card isn't worth anything now. Pick it out of bulk. You know what else you should pick out of your bulk? A card that you assume has gotten multiple reprintings, but it's actually only gotten one, and that didn't even really count because it was the signature spellbook for Gideon. That's right. It's a white card. The card I believe I'm talking about is Scars of Mirrodin's True Conviction.
Well, that card's fun.
It has the Scars printing, and then it was what, like Commander 2014? And then the spellbook. So, like, the fact that this card's under $5 doesn't seem correct, especially with all the new stuff that's coming out in Brothers War. I think people are going to be swinging with creatures with some of these Brothers War Commander Precon cards. I don't know. Check out the guide on EDH Rec for the rundown of the Commanders decks. I don't know what's in them. Man, I really sure don't.
We cover them in the set reviews across EDH Rec and Commander's Herald. So just go to any review we've got, whether it's
I haven't
the
even
colors
busted
or the
my
CDH
40K.
one,
Look at this.
or the artifacts one, and you can go to all the rest of them.
These are sealed. I still haven't had time to digest it, and now there's more EDH precons. Give me a break.
Well, by the time this episode comes out, I think the listeners will be looking at spoilers for Jumpstart, and the chances that they've even processed like Dominaria United are very low.
All right, I'm going to come in with DJ's pick here, okay?
Oh,
From his sick bed where he is, he says that you should buy Arlen the Pax Hope as an arbitrage card. It's from Midnight Hunt. Not a lot of supply. He says that these will slowly go to the magical land of healthcare and vanish forever from the United States. Take that for what you will, but DJ says that Arlen Pax Hope is selling well in Europe, even if it's not in America, and therefore you should pick them up. So there you go. That's your DJ from Beyond pick, and I will finish things out here with a card that used to be $10+, and with a reprint, it's fallen down to $4. Master of Cruelties. Now you can get a different version of this card, the fancier version, the foil etched one, costs more money, but you can get a regular old version of this from Double Masters 2022 for $4. Master of Cruelties is a fairly unique magic card. First strike, death touch, can only attack alone. When it attacks a player and is not blocked, that player's life total becomes 1. That's it. It just becomes 1. Your Master of Cruelties deals no combat, but it will put a player to 1 life. Lots of ways to sneak Master of Cruelties in. Attacking, it's very strong, and it's only $4 after the reprint over the summer. I think that it's starting to climb back up. We've seen it go from a low of about $3.60, $3.75 up to $4. I think it's going to keep climbing from here.
Such a classic. I love that card.
Yeah, one of those that if you see it, well, I recall seeing it for the first time back when it came out, and you just get hit by it for the first time. You're just like, oh,
yeah,
that's. I guess I need to think about that one from here on out, because you don't really any coming back from that. So there's that. Also, by the way, Master of Cruelties is a demon. You know what that means?
No.
It means that
Tell us.
Means Kalia puts it into play and Kalia kills you.
Well, also, doesn't that lets you get around the only one attacking one, right?
There's a demon commander in 40K, but that was 2 sets ago. That's old. No one cares about. Seriously, no one's building those decks anymore.
What was it?
Yeah.
Was there a tribal demon commander?
Yeah, the Grixis one from the 40K decks.
Oh, Be'lakor or something, I think it was.
Sure.
Yeah. I
Beelzebub,
remember the one.
I don't know.
Beelzebub.
I don't know. I didn't
Beelzebub.
have time to look through the whole.
Yeah, I'm just saying
before
things
it came
that
out.
start with the letter B now.
I've been gone for the last 3 weeks working, right? And then I went.
I think it was the demon Bofides.
Bofides?
Yeah.
Famous grateful officer Bofides?
On 3 weeks. I am so you know what happens after you're gone for 3 weeks of Magic previews?
Yeah, you're like
You're a
900 cards
dinosaur.
behind.
Yeah. Wild.
I hate to keep complaining, but it feels bad. I don't like it. And if anybody says you can take a set up, I can't. The 3 of us cannot take a set off. We cannot take a product off.
Nah. I mean, look, I gotta say, just from a purely selfish perspective, Yeah, I mean, it's not changing my love for Magic. From a purely selfish perspective, the endless flow of set reviews means that I don't have to think about content so much as just there is always a new card to review. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's good because it's just like, okay, I just want to bash out and you do have thoughts on it. But sometimes it's like, wow, I'd really love to talk about something that was like my thoughts about the game at large or about a specific thing or even about like a specific deck. But no, I'm trawling through spoilers looking for something that's got something interesting to be said about it. Which is just the way it goes. I mean, I'm gearing up at the moment to do the Jumpstart review, and we'll probably split that up.
Well, and look at it this way. Also, like, when you talk about how a card fits into Commander, what Commander are you talking about? Are you talking about the Commander when I last updated my decks, which was not that long ago, but it was a whole bunch of sets ago. They've printed, a dozen new broken cards in every color since then.
Yep. Commander feels so much more these days like, well, Magic in general, but everything feels like a rotating format in some ways these days. Like the sort of in and out of any deck that you've got, if you're trying to not even be competitive, but just sort of keep up and be relevant and do new things.
What they did to Modern, in my opinion, was pretty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the
format's fun
it's
now.
It's so different because we're casual, but it feels like Commander is getting this little taste of that, where there is just such a massive turnover of new stuff. Because also specifically as Commander focused players, the endless amount of products means more because they're all going to be legal. They're like, when was the last time you saw a card that wasn't Commander legal? Even Infinity is like half that. And we could have lived with, in retrospect, we could have lived with it all just being silver bordered again. Like in some ways, I think I would have even preferred that. I really don't think that Acorn.
No one would have bought the product.
Acorn thing. But doesn't Mark Rosewater say every time he's like, oh, well, each unset is better than the last?
I think that was true through Unstable. They did another one in
with
there.
Where we are now.
I don't remember much. And the big pull of those, even through Unstable, was the really cool full art lands. And even the Unstable ones were really neat, and it was a whole thing. Now we have, obviously, infinite lands, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's certainly not, but it takes the one thing that Unsets kind of had to juice the sales and pulled it away. And really, half the cards in Unstable worked in Commander anyway. They just weren't legal. I mean, I understood where they were coming from on that one for sure.
It feels like as though there'd be
the result is still needlessly complex.
But what would have made more sense to me is like what they decided to black. I'm sure you've talked about this ad nauseum already on the podcast, but it's really surprising to me what they did decide to black border. Like, I'm still just getting to grips with the fact that stickers are a black bordered concept, and it's not as finicky as it needs to be for the sake of anyone trying to play competitively, but it's still kind of there, and it doesn't make sense. Like, I'd be really interested with, like, in terms of them changing what is and isn't going to be legal. It almost seems like they could do an unmastered set and then go back and retroactively make a whole bunch of those cards that work fine in Commander and aren't a complete and total headache the way that, like, it seems like some people are liking attractions, but for me, it's
they got to design a new product. No, we don't iterate. We design new products that sell.
Yeah,
like what you're talking. Listen, if you think that you're tired of trying to review a million products, how do you think they feel about designing them?
Well, they're paid
not
more
a lot of time
than me.
Not a lot of time to iterate on anything, is there? Not a lot of time to see how something. We just throw it all at the wall. And what's wild about a lot of this is Modern in a great spot. Modern's really fun. Fairer than it's been in years. You just have to play a bunch of cards from Modern Horizons 2.
Yeah, is it totally... I got to say, I'm really looking forward to Modern Horizons 3 for the perspective of...
So we can have a whole new set.
It was such a gift for
I saw a long debate today about whether Stoneforge Mystic was viable outside of Hammer Time. That's where we're at. Stoneforge Mystic, the card that for years was Wizards deemed too strong to unban into Modern, is now unplayable outside of one particular deck. Because
it turns out Batterskull was the problem, because nobody was complaining about how good Stoneforge Mystic was.
We got
Precon where you got a Bonehorde with it.
We got Cauldra Complete in the format, and Stoneforge is still unplayable.
There's heaps of those ones though, right? Like for so long when I was still paying attention to Modern, I remember I came into Modern after Bloodbraid Elf was banned, and everyone assured me that
I was there when the cattle got banned,
unbanned,
man.
and it was I mean, so
I was there
playing
when
at
they
the point
banned
where-
the 1-mana 3/3.
I was playing when
Oof.
like Burn was like Naya Zoo style and Nakatl was legal, but yeah, I remember everyone telling me they'll never unban Bloodbraid Elf, they'll never unban JTMS, they'll never unban Stoneforge. Is JTMS still a thing?
Kinda. I was on record for a very long time about some of those cards, especially like Jace and Stoneforge being too unenjoyable to unban. Not just too strong, but like play patterns just weren't good. And then they just decided that it's not that anyone was wrong, it's that Wizards just cranked the power up by releasing 2 sets directly into the format in addition to Fire Design or whatever. That just
it's like
made
the
all that
context
not a
of the
problem
format
anymore.
changed. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So none of
There's
that
still-
mattered. Everything you thought you knew about Magic, you had to relearn in the past 5 years. And hey, that's fine. That's my job, both with this podcast and in my job with EDH. All of our job is content, and also my job doing coverage, just to keep up with what's current. Magic evolves and changes. The same cards that were good in 2003 are not good in 2013. Same cards are good in 2013 aren't good in 2023. It just is what it is. But it's just been a lot.
Yeah, I mean, because it did feel like to me when I was really sinking my teeth into Magic and like becoming quite obsessed with it around 2015, 2016, it did feel to me as though the cards that I was playing with in 2015 that were really good had been really good in 2011 and were still quite good in about 2017. Whereas like the last time I was truly playing Modern was when Hollow One was like the deck to beat and like the really good
times then.
Oh, I lived for that absolute nonsense. I really love like accidental.
That was the peak. I mean, and that was the peak couple of years of Modern, and it's not all on Wizards that went away. Obviously, it was going to be a natural period of exploration, but I was there in that time and covering GPs Weekly when you'd have a new Modern deck that you'd not seen or thought of top 8. Like I was there the weekend of Mono Red Snow. Or Scred.
Yeah, the Scred. I remember that so clearly.
Top eight at an event just out of nowhere. And you're like, I thought I had seen it all in Modern. And then this, right?
That was awesome. Yeah.
I mean, those days, none of that happens when the cards from the past 2 years are better than anything that came before it. But again, Modern's in a good place right now. So it's hard, like in 5 years, maybe the same cards are still good. And we think Modern's in a good spot. I don't know. We'll see where they go from here. I hope, like as we've talked about on this whole episode, Wizards hears feedback, they take feedback, and eventually they might act on it.
Well, Modern Horizons 3 must only be a couple, like, what, half a year away? Right?
12 set, half a year, 14 set releases, same difference.
Yeah, pretty much. Because the last one was last year, right? Modern Horizons 2 was mid-2021. I don't know, it all blows in over the pandemic, doesn't it?
Exactly. Well, on that note, we better get out of here. We're running out of time. It's early in the afternoon for Jake, so we better let him go get a nap, and he was worried about casting too late today. So he claims it was for me and Jason because it's late here, but we all know that he just needs to get his nap. And where can people find you across the internet, Jake FitzSimons?
You can come find me in the dying light of Twitter, which will be fun or you can...
We'll all go down together.
Yeah, all go down together, holding hands, go down with the ship, playing the final song. Or much more interesting for you and for me is come read my content or just come onto Commander's Herald and check out our freshly redesigned website, which is looking really, really cool. And if you're not reading just my content, read some more CDH content. We've got a really cool article from Drake Sasser that'll be out by the time you hear this from Playing with Power about how Sylvan Library secretly sucks in CDH.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, any parting words from you here this week?
Nope.
He says, well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We want to remind you before we get out of here, you can find us at patreon.com/BSB. You can also go to Coalesce Apparel, the store that has absolutely been kicking ass at coming into the Magic market and putting out some really cool apparel from your favorite content creators, us included. They had an awesome weekend, I know, at Magic 30. I saw a Brainstorm Brewery shirt up there next to all the other cool content creators, and that was a neat experience. So use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery at checkout. You can get a discount, and you can use that for any of your favorite creators, not just us, at Coalesce Apparel. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. We'll see you next week.